It's funny. I'm the guy that has to record all this stuff, but here's some more receipts of these liars pretending that they're experts, posing themselves as experts, talking about what Romy said on that fateful day. So you don't have to take my word for it that this is crazy, that they're liars. Listen to what this so-called expert says.
So this dynamic of their son being an addict and struggle with his father is something that they both talked about publicly before.
Remember, this is December 15th that this aired. That's pretty quick. Nick wasn't arrested till Monday night by LAPD. And this guy is already mouthing off.
And obviously the family knows a lot more than the public does. Tracy Reiner said that prior to this now infamous party at Conan O'Brien's house, where Rob and Michelle and their son Nick were at, and they got into a fight, that the family was all together at a family gathering. So Saturday was a day for the Reiners to be together.
So they were saying that the family was together at a family gathering. I don't want to inject something that may or may not be, but it's interesting that this was the day of Hanukkah, the first day of the winter festival, and the place where Nick got arrested was outside a center where they were having a winter festival for Jews, because Nick has been on record to say he's a Jew. So I would surmise that perhaps so was his father, Rob. Whether or not they're practicing, that's none of my business, but Nick said he's a Jew. And they were at a family gathering together as a family. So that kind of gives you the idea that Rob, Michelle, Nick, Jake, Romy are together doing family type things. And then it spilled over into Conan O'Brien's party. Most likely, I'm guessing now, I'm stretching, I'm going to guess that they were all there at the party, including Tracy. Because again, this is an annual thing. They do this every year at Conan O'Brien's house.
Together, and as of now, we, the public, can only presume what happened at that family gathering. But I just keep going back, especially.
You keep seeing tons of pictures of them being happy and together. And look at Nick dressed up.
To Rob's 28-year-old daughter and Michelle's 28-year-old.
They're always together.
Daughter, Romy, who was the one who discovered her parents in this horrific state. She's the one who called police. And on that 911 call, she told authorities that her brother, who's 32, had been staying at home and was violent. That is, according to reports, what Romy told the 911 dispatcher, that her brother was violent.
Not true. Not true. You basically catch these guys lying. Like, that is not true. Because we know that Michelle didn't make the 911 call. So now you're caught lying, Mr. Expert. You guys are lying. I'm telling you, the truth is easier to keep track of. Lies are very difficult. Once you start lying, guys, you're in trouble. Alan is going to clean you guys up. I'm telling you. Romy discovered her father, Rob, murdered. Fact. She fled outside the home. Fact. As in, she didn't need to see any more of that. It was disturbing. I don't blame her. Her friend called 911 for her. Fact. Michelle called Billy, Crystal. Fact. All the sources that I've come across have said this. this so-called expert, this schemer, they're all schemers when you think about it at the end of the day. They're all planning and manipulating stuff. It's just crazy, man. These guys, they lie. And again, we're just waiting for the hammer to fall, basically. Because, again, they're going off the idea that Nick is guilty. And then they keep going back to his past when he was 16 years old. That should tell you something as well. If there's no evidence of schizophrenia, of Nick being a schizophrenic, if there's no evidence of him having an altercation with his parents, like all we get is love. They love each other. All we get is Nick is normal from all the people that are speaking out. And they're struggling, folks. It's only been a week and they're struggling to find stuff. So all they could do is they can only go back to Charlie's movie, or to Rob's movie that was produced by Rob, directed by Rob, written by Nick and his friend Matt. They worked 4 years on the project from about 18 to 22. And then it took 2 years, including writing with the help of Rob, to write the script and film it. And Nick was there every day on the set, reshaping the script, injecting stories about what he saw happen in rehab. And he would go on record to say, that's not my life. It's what I saw happening. Yes, I was addicted to drugs as well, but we didn't treat each other the way that we built these characters in this movie. This is fiction. It's fiction. Rob didn't like how the movie was at the beginning because it was a dark comedy series, a dark satire type comedy series, a mockumentary. And Rob's like, I think we can inject some elements of seriousness into the story. We need some strong characters. We need a father and we need a son character. And Nick starts shaping it. And Rob's like, you got to make him a little bit more of an asshole. And then they would joke with each other. I know my dad thinks I'm an asshole, and I think he's an asshole. We're both assholes. Pardon my French. But that's how they treated each other, with respect, by just saying, look, we're just being honest. This is how I was a jerk when I was a kid. And now that I'm working with my father, I appreciate how good he is at his craft. And then Rob is on record saying he appreciates his son and how good he is at writing a script and how hard he worked on it. Like, what 18-year-old would work on a movie script? Like, really, and finish it. 90-some% of scripts do not get finished. They never get finished. He had a 198-page script, and Rob had to cut it down. They wanted it to be about an hour and a half. So if you think about 1 page per minute, that's too long of a movie. And Rob kept pushing him to put more emotion in it. And then there were some scenes that Rob's like, we don't need this scene because it's not really moving things forward. And they would get into a fight over keeping it in because Nick was a scriptwriter. And he's like, we got to keep the scene in, Pa, because this is actually an actual conversation that I had with someone while we were scrubbing a toilet. And I think it's funny. So Rob's like, you've convinced me. Okay, let's keep it in. And Rob appreciated the fact that Nick would stand his ground when it came to his script. They were not fighting with each other. They were arguing about what scene to keep in and what to keep out to make it at a decent length. That happens all the time on the set. All the time. So we'll keep diving into this. We'll keep diving into this as I find more evidence of more lies. Because again, the burden of proof is on the prosecution. They have to prove that Nick did it. Instead, all we're doing is we're getting lies and stories from Nick's past when he was a teenager. And they even go so far as to make up stories about him at 7, using it like it just happened yesterday, is what I mean. The story's true that he was hyper as a 7-year-old. He would interrupt their yoga sessions, basically saying, Can I play? Can I play? Come play with me. And they're like, Get away. We have 20 minutes left. You're interrupting our yoga session, or whatever. Whatever the yoga instructor was complaining about. This kid, he needs to be restrained because he's acting out of line. He's so hyper. He's got so much energy. That's what they're using today, saying that a yoga instructor couldn't work with Nick because he was 7. It seems like to me, I'm just putting this out there. It seems like when people go through rehab and they share their stories, they share their vulnerability, they share their emotions, their ups and downs, and then they get kicked in the rear end at the end of it all. People turn on them. They say, Remember when you were 7 and you couldn't sit still? That's why you murdered your parents. Remember when you made a movie about drug addiction and all this, even though it wasn't about you? It was a fiction. It was a fictional movie. Remember that movie where there was drug scenes in it? Remember that? That means you murdered your parents. That's what they're turning on people that have been in rehab, using it to frame him for whatever reason. They're using this stuff. And this is what happens is if you have a past, they will bring that up and they will carve you up with it. That's what they did to Kevin Spacey as well. They carved him up. And Alan Jackson was Kevin Spacey's lawyer. And Karen Reed. So this is a tough guy. No doubt about it. Anyways, thanks for watching.